This is Fountain
Every
Street
week I find
Church.
it hard to find the best ones, but somehow, like I said, you'll hear what I'm trying to say even when the words
Here,
are
we strive to free the mind, grow the soul, and change the world. Here, there is freedom to doubt and freedom to believe. Here, you can find a house of prayer for all people.
To swallow up Jonah.
Welcome to Fountain Street Church. Join us on the journey.
It's really great seeing so many familiar and friendly faces out there. It makes this part much easier. I can't tell you how many times I envisioned, projected myself into the future, envisioned this moment. I thought I would have more of a voice, however. I remember Amy Miller, I don't know if any of you heard, she was the first speaker this summer, and she said, when you put yourself out of your comfort zone, all the demons, she called them demons, but those fears and insecurities arise, and I can definitely relate to that, because this is outside my comfort zone, the speaking part. The singing, I could do. I had no problem with the singing. It was the speaking that just filled me with terror, actually. And here I am speaking, and I can't sing. Thank God for Cantando and David. When you sing with others, they offer that support. It was way back in April that I was asked to speak, so there was a lot of time to think about it, and people who know me know that I thought about it a lot. I was asked what my title would be, and I had no idea, so I said, it'll be a work in progress. And then I thought, hey, that'll work. It's a good title. It'll give me a lot of creative leeway. I could say anything, and it would be a work in progress. But it made sense. I feel like that's what I am in my life. I'm a work in progress, and this putting together of the service was definitely a work in progress. I loved the creative process. I loved thinking about what I would say and finding the readings and rehearsing with my friends. That was the best part. And it was just a very creative thing, so it felt very creative and expansive and wonderful. I loved it. But I would flip, and all of a sudden I'd have these thoughts, like, oh my God, what am I going to say? And what could I say that could possibly matter or that they don't already know? Smart group of people. They already know this stuff. Those are the voices of ego. And I could recognize them, but they would still play. But Spirit spoke to me too in a lot of ways and confirmed that I was on the right track with where I was going. Even this morning, I have to say, even this morning, it's a work in progress. I'll probably go way off my notes. Even this morning, I thought, oh my God, I can't believe I can't sing. What is the lesson in there? And there is a lesson in there. I believe that. I still believe that all the things that I'm going to say here are true, and I think I'll just have to wait to find the lesson and what that is. But that experience of shifting back and forth between, that very expanded state and a very contracted state, which is what I call just being way too much in my head and my ego, and that's what I want to talk about with you today. Teilhard de Chardin, a 20th century scientist and philosopher, said, "We are not human beings seeking a spiritual experience. We are spiritual beings immersed in a human experience." And I know I've always remembered that quote. I really resonate with that, so I know there's truth in that for me. When I'm in that expanded place and I'm feeling open and loving, transparent, and I feel very connected to that higher power and that intelligence, to the mystery, that's when I feel really like I'm most myself. I feel like that's who I am. But there's this other part of me that gets anxious and frustrated and insecure and afraid. And I think to myself, how do I integrate these two states? How do I become more whole instead of feeling split or fragmented? How can I have more of that love and that peaceful feeling? How do I align more with who I am? I've been on the spiritual path for many years, but it wasn't until recently that I began studying the ego. That's just not something that I was familiar with other than maybe the traditional definitions of ego. But what I learned from David Butcherly, he taught a program here called Awaken to Ego, and I know many of you out there have been through that program, really made a lot of sense to me. And I went through the first class and then had the opportunity to become a facilitator myself. And it was an incredible year of learning and growth on so many levels, and I loved being a facilitator. When the Dalai Lama was asked what he thought to be the most important thing for humans to know right now, he said, "The truth of our oneness." And I experienced that in those classes. I was just always amazed and so moved by the fact that you could get this group of strangers sitting in class, and within such a short time, there was such a feeling of connectedness and bondedness. We shared our stories, and the stories differ, but we all want the same things, and I really got that feeling that we're all one. We're each unique individualizations of the one. Lynn McTaggart says, "When considering all the crises we now face on so many fronts, most of us throw up our hands and say, 'What can I do? What can any one person do to change anything?' This mindset grows out of the notion that our present challenges can only be addressed by the government and the people in charge. However, the change that is necessary, the one that will truly solve most problems in our individual lives and our society, And indeed, our world is not just a change of policy or a new law or a tighter regulation of some sort, but a fundamental change of heart. The work that we did in the Awaken to Ego was just about that. It's about that 14-inch journey from the head to the heart. The definition of ego that we taught is that it is our sense of self as separate, and it is who we think we are. Our spiritual nature is one of happiness and joy and peace, but very early on, this illusion of separateness takes hold. It's a tiny unconscious seed. We're born in spirit, we're one in spirit, but then we're given a name, and from that moment on, we're conditioned to believe we're separate from our parents, from the objects that surround us, from other and from world. It's a tiny seed, and it takes root, and then it begins to grow because it's reinforced in so many ways. The sense of ourself as separate is nourished all through our lives, in school, with our peers, in sports, in the places that we work. It's pervasive in the human species. It is the cause of our need to be right, to be superior, to defend our points of view, to resist change, and also to feel in so many ways lacking or limited, somehow inadequate and unworthy and unlovable, just not good enough. It's emotionally painful. That sense of separation is very emotionally painful. And way too often it drives our choices. And unconsciously, out of that ego, our stories take shape and they become who we think we are. The ego ensures its survival, actually, by keeping us in emotional pain. It's not logical. It does not make any sense. But that's what it does. Actually, in truth, there is no separation. We're never, ever disconnected from spirit. But our awareness of spirit will diminish as the ego grows. It's kind of like a lens that closes down. And as our awareness gets smaller and smaller, we think we lose that connection to spirit. But we're never disconnected.